Just do the math. I mean, look at the retirement math alone is a great example of this. Our U.S. government here, they have a website, sec.gov. You can go look on that site for investor tools, and they have a specific calculator on that site. This is on investor.gov, to be clear. It's, again, an SEC website. Moral of the story, you look at the compound interest calculator, and you just do some basic math. You're like, you have a monthly contribution that you can add in. You have an initial contribution you can add in. You had an annualized amount that you're going to generate off of that money that you're consistently investing, and you put a time threshold in there. You also have an interest rate variance that you can put into. And what you start to see is how much money you get to accumulate over whatever duration of time you put into it with whatever monthly contributions you want to invest. Now, there's this rule in finance called the 4% rule. This is taught by classic finance people. They say that whatever that lump sum is that you see there in that bottom number that it quantifies out for your equity balance, in this case, if assuming you're investing in things like the S&P, you would take 4% of that and sell it on an annualized basis. I'll give you some basic math as an example for my retirement math. I saw that if I invested $200K a month, so if I took $200K up front and I took $200K every month, and I did that over the course of 20 years, and then I looked up, I was like, well, what's the S&P 500? Because that's what I've always heard guys like Warren Buffett and like all these other finance people talk about, like what's that average an annualized return of? It's about 10%. Technically, it's a little less or a little more, give or take the year, but about 10% was a safe number to plug in there. And I was like, all right, what age do I want to consider not having to work for active income anymore? And that age for me was around 45. I was 24 when I started doing this specific math. I'm 31 while I sit here now and film this. And long story short, I had realized like, okay, 20 years would be the time horizon that I need to invest $200,000 a month. You know, that's $2.4 million a year to have to invest. And on top of that, here's the other math that most people don't do just for being able to flesh it out entirely. How much does it cost in taxes, depending on where you live, to be able to even invest that amount? Because if you look at, as an example, just the highest tax threshold in a non-state tax like Florida state, it costs about $80K a month to invest $200K a month if I'm getting absolutely face fucked on taxes at the highest tax bracket. Technically, you can get away with paying a little less than that, to be fair. But again, just that's the most conservative math you could technically do. So you technically have to say it'd take $280 a month just to invest $200 a month, and you'd have to sustain that over the course of 20 fucking years. Now here's what that math turns into, just for clarity. Over that period of time of 20 years, it turns into about 135 or like $138 million. Now if you take that and you multiply that times 4%, that's the amount minus your long-term capital gains taxes at 20% divided by 12 that you would get to live on per month. That number might look sweet, but then you also got to factor in the erosion of our dollar losing value over that same period of time. You also then factor that into the equation, and you see, you're like, okay, so in today's dollars, that's the amount of money that I would get to live on per month after taxes, after the erosion of the value of the dollar in 20 years from now at age 45. And I saw that number and I was like, that's a couple $100,000 a month. So it's like right now, as an example, doing way more than that and living the lifestyle that I do, I figured, well, I would need at least that. You know, that was very clear to me. And just in that one reason alone of just doing basic retirement math like that on investor.gov with the compound interest calculator, you can put it in perspective immediately for how much more money you likely need to be able to comfortably do something like that.